What's going on, guys? So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you what camera equipment I use for videos and even photos. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of confusing and that it's not really well said in a sense of like what you use what lens for and stuff like that. So I'm hoping this will kind of help some people if they're trying to make either videos or do photography like I do. I'm going to show you guys what I use and how I get my pictures the way that they are and how I get my videos the way that they are. This is the DJI Spark. Honestly, if you're going to spend that much money on the drone, unless you're looking for the small size like I was, honestly just get one of the Phantoms or one of the Mavic Pros. It's good, but it's not great, in other words, because the camera is so small. It doesn't have either a low enough aperture or a big enough lens to let in enough light, so everything comes out kind of grainy. And obviously it doesn't record in 4K, so take it how you want it. It's okay, it's not the best thing ever, but honestly, save your money, get a Mavic Pro or something like that. The only reason I bought this one is because I travel a lot, so to throw this in a suitcase is a lot easier than me bringing a drone that takes up a square foot of space, in other words. So the second item on my list is going to be this. A lot of people don't know what this is. Basically what it does is it is really helpful for time lapses. So what you do is you twist this little top section. It has little time limits. They have one for 30, 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and then 120 minutes. And it'll rotate your camera as you take a time lapse from the camera, and it'll get a really cool effect of like moving it while everything moves around it. It's kind of cool. So that's really helpful for videos, not so much for photography. So our next item is going to be a gimbal. This is the Zion crane. This is the one meant for your phone. I don't know the exact model name. I kind of walked in and picked this out right before I left for my trip. But this is honestly really helpful. I've used this for video production stuff, and even though it goes to your iPhone, my phone records in 4K, so the videos do come out pretty well unless they're at night. But I do find this is really helpful, even for vlogging and stuff like that. I've used this to hike up a mountain, and I vlogged the entire thing. Yeah, if you're mainly using it on an actual camera, get an actual gimbal for a real camera, because honestly, the phone videos aren't that great, even though that's what I'm recording with right now. Just because I'm going to be showing you my camera, I can't record with that at the same time. I just thought I would throw this in here. It's just kind of like an off-brand GorillaPod. It's great for vlogging. I don't know, you know. So this is actually my old camera. However, I do still use this, but I will be selling it coming very soon, probably within the next few days. This is the Sony a6000. So it's honestly, it is a really nice beginner camera. If you're just getting into photography or you want to do like vlogs or something like that, this is a really lightweight, good camera for that. The lens that I have on here is a 30mm 1.2 f-stop. So honestly, I love this lens. It is a manual lens, but it works well for photography, and honestly, I really do like using it. Unfortunately, because it is a crop sensor lens though, that means it's equal to about a 50mm or 52mm lens. I can't use it on my full frame camera, so it just kind of sits with the a6000, so I'm going to be selling them together because it's kind of useless to me once I sell the camera anyway, but I do love this lens and this combo. So next up is my big boy. This is the Sony a7 III. I absolutely love this camera. Honestly, I would argue that it is probably the best camera on the market right now that's actually affordable. Obviously, there's always going to be more expensive cameras like the Red cameras and stuff like that, but for like an at-home type video type thing, This is probably the best camera that you can get. It does record in 4K, and it does 120 frames per second in 720p or 1080, so you can get slow motion shots too in HD, which is really awesome. Also paired up with this, I have a Sony shotgun mic. It's definitely not the nicest mic, but it does improve the sound quality a little bit, and honestly that's really all I need for vlogging and stuff like that, because I'm never in a situation where I need perfect audio. However, if you're just getting into photography, there's absolutely no reason to get this. This has so many settings and different custom stuff that you can play with that it's not even really usable. Well, I shouldn't say that. It is usable to beginners, however, you're not going to know how to use all the stuff, so I definitely recommend starting with one of the A6000 series. Any of those numbers, those are absolutely great. So the first lens that I have for this camera is the Samyang 24mm 2.8 f-stop. This lens is what I use for all my vlogs and stuff like that, or any wide angle shots. I will use this for photography too, but because it has a higher f-stop, it's not going to be great in low light. It's not terrible. It's still below like the 3.5, which is like the beginner lens type thing, so it's still a little bit below that, but because it is wide angle, I love using this lens for videos, and I use this for vlogs and stuff like that. It has great autofocus for when I'm doing that too. It always, 99% of the time, keeps its focus on me, whereas with other lenses, I found that they kind of go out of focus. So the next lens that I have is obviously going to be a nifty 50. This is the Sony FE 1.8 50mm. I absolutely love this lens, as you can see there. This is an autofocus lens as well, however I've noticed that the autofocus is not that great on this lens, so I tend to find myself using it in manual focus a lot more, just because it's not always reliable with that. I also have a polarizer on there that I use because this is honestly my main lens for doing like portraits, couple shoots and stuff like that. Because it has such a low f-stop, you really get just that depth of field where everything in the background is just bokeh, or bokeh, however you want to say it. Yeah, highly recommend this lens just as like a beginner lens. You can pair this up with any of the E-mount Sony cameras, full frame or crop sensor. With the crop sensor, it's going to be a little bit more zoomed in, so you're going to get more of a 75mm lens, which honestly isn't bad because an 85mm lens is pretty common, so it's a little bit behind that. But you're going to find yourself always being too close to the subject, unfortunately, with this lens. If you do choose to use it on a crop sensor. So last lens that I have for you guys today, this is a 70-300 4.5 to 5.6 f-stop lens. Obviously it does have a high aperture, however I do notice that the depth of field, everything in the background is extremely blurred even though it does have that higher f-stop. And honestly, I use this for more wildlife and stuff like that than I do anything else. I don't really use this for video or for portraits. I've taken some portraits on it and they always come out really good, but that's not what I use it for. I use this for wildlife pictures. I definitely recommend that lens as well, however that is rather expensive, and for a beginner photographer it's not really necessary. The only problem with Sony that I'm going to tell you guys is that they really don't have that big of a selection of lenses unless you move into third-party lenses, which kind of copy Sony's lenses anyway. So you can look at like Sigma lenses, Tamron, Samyang, Rokinon, and a bunch of other stuff. There's a bunch of other lenses that you can get for it. Unfortunately, because they're not Sony native lenses, they're not going to focus always the right way. However, people have found that the Tamron, Sigma, and Samyang are some of the best brands to pair with a Sony. Or you can use Canon or Nikon lenses with a adapter. So for Canon lenses, you can get the MC11 adapter, and you can use your native Canon lenses. However, the autofocus is going to be kind of screwed up with those. But if you have been a Canon user all your life and you have a bunch of Canon lenses, honestly it might be worth getting the adapter and then switching to Sony, because honestly you're not going to see the picture quality that you get with this camera with any other camera that I've ever seen. And yeah guys, that's going to be all my camera equipment. I have some other just like smaller parts and things that I use, like CDs or string lights, stuff like that I use, but this was just supposed to be gear that I use. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.